See something you like while you're watching this video? Well, check the comments and the description because I'll put Amazon links so you can buy anything that I'm showing you here in this video. Now, let's take a closer look at Moultrie's brand new Edge 2 trail camera. So before we get going too much in depth on this camera, what I want to do is let you know that this video is going to be quite long. It's going to be everything you need to know about this camera for before you purchase it, after you get it, setting it up, putting it in the woods, getting it working, adjusting your settings, everything. So if you look in the bottom of this video, I'm going to break this video up into chapters. So if you've already purchased the camera and just want to learn how to set it up, you can just fast forward to that part. If you're interested in knowing how to power the camera, you can fast forward to that part. So you don't have to sit through the whole thing and try and find the sections that you like. This camera also was not given to me. I am not sponsored by Moultrie. They are just a company that I like. I've used their products in the past, and I decided to make this video on their new cameras that they put out this year. And this camera is the Moultrie Edge 2. I have not used their Edge 1s, but I have been following along in some of their Facebook groups, and I have some friends that use them, and I've been keeping an eye on them for a while, and they have a lot of features that I really think are neat. So I'm going to tell you a little bit first before we unbox this thing. I'm going to tell you about what to expect from this camera and what some of the features are on the camera. If you have not used a cellular camera before, the newer cameras that are coming out right now are probably about the easiest cameras to use and set up that have ever been created. This camera, no longer do you need a different SIM card for AT&T or Verizon. It has an auto connect feature in it. What that does is when you turn the camera on, the camera automatically finds the best cellular signal in your area that's going to work for it, and it connects to that cellular signal so it can transmit everything back to your phone or your laptop or whatever you're going to be using. So that in itself just totally makes the whole setup process easier because you don't have to worry about is Verizon better? Is AT&T better? Which service is going to... It just picks up the best one automatically, which is a great feature of this camera. There is also an internal memory in this camera now, which some of the other manufacturers are going to as well. So there's no need to get a separate SD card, format it, make sure it's the correct SD card, insert it. This camera has 8 gigabytes of memory in it. And once that memory gets full, there's a setting where it will start deleting the oldest picture off of the memory and keep the newer pictures. Now, one thing to keep in mind about that is all of your pictures are still stored on your mobile app or on the computer. So even if it does delete off an old picture that was on there, you don't have to worry about it because you still have that picture in your app. This camera takes 32 megapixel pictures, which is one of the better setup cameras that I've seen on the market, one of the higher resolution cameras I've seen on the market. It also takes 1080p HD video with also sound on it too, so you're going to get great video quality from this camera as well. There is a feature on this camera which I like to use, and I look for it in some of the cameras that I buy. It is an on-demand picture feature. So let's say you have a camera and you set your delay to 5 minutes because it's over a corn pile and you're tired of getting picture after picture after picture. Once you get a picture of a deer that's come, you can hit that on-demand button right from your app and it will automatically take a picture right then of whatever's going on. It's also something good to use if you use this camera for security. You can snap a picture if there's something you want to check out at your property, if you want to make sure that, let's say a road is clear or a storm wasn't too bad or it's not snowing where you're going to be going hunting. You can click that on-demand picture. It will take a picture right then, send it to your phone, and you can use it for whatever you need to use it for. This camera also has one of about a standard trigger time. It's a 0.4 second trigger time, which is what most cameras that I've been using, whether it be Tacticam or SpyPoint, they pretty much all have around the 0.4, 0.3 second trigger time. There is also a 100-foot detection range for this camera, which again, that's about standard. Usually I'm seeing between 90 and 100 feet. advertised, but what I found is that most cameras, you're going to get a farther detection range than that 100 feet anyways, and depending upon how you have it set up. The camera itself is powered by AA batteries or lithium batteries or an external pack, which I'm going to talk about in greater depth in a little bit later on in this video. But one interesting feature this camera has is while the battery tray will hold 16 AA batteries, you can run this camera on just 8 AA batteries. So you don't need to put all 16 batteries in the camera to have it work. Now that's going to decrease your battery, let's say how long the batteries last in the camera, but it is an interesting feature and it's something that you may be interested in when you get this camera. The flash on this camera, I want to make note, this is what they call a low glow technology. So when you take the picture, or when the picture goes off, I'm sorry, you're going to have a red LED that lights up on the side of the camera at night. Now if you're looking for one that has a no glow technology and the camera also has a little bit better picture quality, you can check out their brand new Moultrie Edge Pro 2. I'm going to do a video on that camera. I will link that in the upper right hand corner of this video if you want to check out that video. So it has a little bit different features than this one does. However, this camera is probably one of the easiest and simplest cameras you're going to find to set up and get running. And it's great, especially if you're a beginner, because it's just, you'll see on the inside when we open it up, there's just an off and on switch, and that's pretty much it. The camera does everything itself. So now that we've talked about some of the features of this camera, let's get this camera open and let's take a look at it. Comes in a nice package, basic, simple and easy. You open it up and the first thing I see is the camera. So let's get the camera out of there. Here we go. Just set that down there. I'm gonna look at what else we have in the box here. One thing I do like is right here, this little cutout that was on there. It has the code to scan to set up the camera, which you're going to see in a few minutes. And there's also a little quick start instructions on there to help you get started a little bit faster if you're not used to doing this kind of thing. And inside here we have almost dropped it, a strap for the camera to strap it to a tree. Now, I never use these. When we deploy this camera out in the woods and we set it up, I'm going to show you what I use instead of these straps. I'm not a big fan of these straps, but I do save them because they come in handy for lashing gear to your bag when you're in the woods. I'm gonna get rid of the box, get rid of this guy. And let's see, we've got a little bag here. And inside the bag is this little plastic piece, which I read about before I made this video, but I can't remember exactly what it's for. We're going to set this little plastic piece down. There's a Moultrie sticker, and then there is the quick start guide. I'm going to recommend that you take a moment, read through the quick start guide before you get going, because there will be some good information in there, which I'm going to pass on to you too, but it's good to learn it through the quick start guide. And here is our camera. It is nice and small and compact. Its footprint from the front is probably comparable to a SpyPoint Link Micro. On the side, it's a little bit thicker than the Link Micro, but it is probably about as thick as a Tacticam Reveal, just to give you a little bit of a comparison. But you can see it's fairly small and compact, which I like about this camera. The antenna is already attached to it, and all you have to do is swing the antenna up and it is ready to go. On the back side of the camera, you will see the strap, the loops here where the strap will go through if you're going to use the strap. However, if you're going to use a different mounting system like I like to use, there is on the bottom of this camera, there is a 1/4 by 20 inch threaded insert, which is standard for most camera mounts for trail cameras and also kind of like videography camera stuff. So that is the bottom of the camera. There is a adapter on the bottom as well. Let me pop that open here, for a external power source, which we are going to talk about because I use external power sources with my cameras. And then if you look at it from the front, you'll see the this little, I think they call it a Fresnel lens. That lens covers the motion detector and the IR sensor on the camera. There is the center there, that is where the actual camera eye itself. There is a status light up on the top. And on the side here, these little black plastic pieces, underneath there are your LEDs, which are going to be your flash for when the camera goes off at night. On the side here, there is a little clip. You just lift that clip and it opens up the bottom of the camera. And as you can see, like I said before, this camera is very basic inside. You have a switch over here that is off and on, and that's it. You have a connect button over here. That is how you're going to send an on-demand picture when you're at your camera, when we test it out and set the camera up. There is a battery status light over here, and then there are 3 other status lights. I see what says connecting, connected, and not connected. Basic and very easy. You will also see an eject button on here. When you push that eject button, that pops the battery tray out, and it is a little tough to get out, but here is your battery tray. It holds 8 AA batteries on each side, which is 16 batteries. But like I said before, the camera will function with just 8 rather than all 16. One of the things I do to my cameras when I put them in the woods is on the top of the battery tray here, you will see 2 little metal contacts. I put a little bit of dielectric grease on those contacts to help prevent any corrosion that may happen if water gets into your camera. I will also do the same thing on the bottom on the connection that I'm going to be using for my external power source. So that is our camera in a nutshell. As you can see, it is very basic, which I like about it, but it does have some great features that are comparable to some of the more complex cameras. So now that we've got this camera, we've talked about the features, we've got the camera out of the box. The next step is to discuss how we're going to power this camera when we get it in the woods. And I will give you some great ideas, and I will also tell you my opinion on what the worst things to use and the best things to use are. So let's talk about powering this camera. As you can see, my little table here has kind of turned into what looks like a flea market right now. But these are some great options for you for powering your camera, and this is some of the meat and potatoes we're going to get into on this video. I have done review videos of all these options I'm going to talk to you about, and as I talk with you about them, I will put a link in the upper right hand corner if you want to take a closer look at each one. And remember, I will also have links, Amazon links, in the comments and the description of this video. So if you like one of these things, you just go in there, click on it, and buy it. One thing about those links, this is what helps me keep creating these videos. So if you're going to purchase one of these things, I would appreciate it if you go to that Amazon link, click on it, and go buy it. I get a little bit of a commission, and this is how I buy more products to review for you. So I'd appreciate your support in that, and now let's get down to powering this camera. Very first thing we're going to talk about, and I'm going to list these in what I consider my least favorable option all the way up to my most favorable option. First of all, my least favorite option, but is a valid option, are the AA batteries that go in the battery tray. We all know AA batteries are crazy expensive. If you're in the Northeast like I am, you have to use lithium batteries in these things because the cold weather will drain the batteries faster, and you will have, if you use regular alkalines, they drain faster and you'll have to replace them quicker. So AA batteries are what I use as a very last resort. I don't like using them, and as a matter of fact, I don't run them in any of my cameras other than sometimes to show it on a video while I am doing a video like this. My next option, which is a great option if you want to keep the footprint of your camera small, are the Moultrie rechargeable battery packs. These battery packs fit into your camera exactly like the battery tray does. goes in there and clicks in. One of the things I like about it is that when you click on the bottom, there's a little button to show you how much charge is left on that battery. So if you go in the woods and you're not sure what's going on with the battery, you can click that button on the bottom and it'll show you how much battery life you have left, or the approximate level of the battery. The battery is rechargeable. So unlike AA's that you just throw away when they're dead, this battery you can take home, recharge it, and then bring it back out in the woods. What I like to do with rechargeable battery packs is have 2 or 3 extra packs laying around. So when I'm going into the woods to check on a camera, I'll bring a fully charged one from home. And then once I take that pack out and bring it back home, I recharge it and I leave it at home for when I go to my next camera. Well, some of my spots I have 2 or 3 cameras, so I want to change out 2 or 3 batteries at one time, and that's how you do it. Now this battery is a great option. The downside to this battery is that the capacity of this battery is close to what you have in the AA's. From my understanding, this battery will last a little bit longer than your AA's, but you have the same battery life, which, depending upon your settings on your camera, can be good or bad. If you have a camera that doesn't get a lot of action and you have your settings to transmit, let's call it once a day, then you are probably going to be okay with running AA's or a lithium pack. However, to tap into the full potential of these cameras, you're going to want to do something that has a little bit more oomph behind it and some staying power. And that's where these other 2 options come into play. So my first option here, this is a solar battery from HME. It has the little solar panel on top, and inside is a nickel metal hydride battery pack. So when you buy this, you take it home, you charge it overnight, you bring it out in the woods and put it in the woods. Now the solar panel will help to keep the battery charged. However, depending upon where you install these cameras, it may not get a lot of direct sunlight. It's like me, I put most of my cameras in the woods, so they don't get total sunlight all day, which does not keep the battery fully charged all the time. But the battery has such a huge capacity to it that it lasts for months and months and months, and I keep my camera set so when I get a trigger and a deer or something triggers that camera, it sends it to me automatically. And I also have my camera set on video. So these are a great option. They cost about $50, which is double what you're going to pay for the AA's, which it's about the same price as the battery pack, but it's going to last forever. This one, I shouldn't say forever. It lasts a long time. I've been using these boxes now for about 6 seasons, and 2 or 3 of the 12 boxes that I have, I changed batteries on this year. The batteries cost $18 to change out when they stop working or they don't work as well. Easy to swap out the battery for 18 bucks and then recharge it and put it in the woods. This box comes with a true-proof cable, and it has this plug on the bottom which just plugs right into either your sorry, this is a different camera thing. It plugs right into the bottom here on the camera. Now, one thing I do want to mention, this little black clip that I talked about in the beginning that I have totally spaced out and forgot what it was for, it's for when you use an external box. You can take this clamp, mount it on the bottom of your camera, and then when you install your battery box cable, it goes in there and it will clip into place, and then it will keep your cable from falling out, which I think is a great idea. There it goes, it just clipped in there. So it keeps your cable from falling out. One of the reasons why I like that is because what I've used before in the past were just some Velcro straps that I put on there to hold the cable in place. So this makes it a lot easier to keep that cable in your camera. If you have squirrels that run up and down your camera, or I have bears that mess with my camera, they will hit it and pull the plug on it and you're kind of stuck. So fortunately, that little clip helps keep it in place. These battery boxes are a great option. They are not a huge footprint. I just set it at the base of the tree where I have my camera, and it sits there for months and does its thing. The next option I want to talk to you about, which to me is the best option, and I've just started using these this year, is the solar panel from Herd 360. Now, Herd 360 is a great company that has spent 10 or 15 years, I think they've been in business, perfecting let's call it accessories for cellular trail cameras. They don't care about the brand or the model of camera. They just give you items that are going to help your camera work better. These solar batteries are unbelievable. Now you're going to notice, though, it is quite a bit bigger than this other one, but the battery capacity in this solar panel is 3 times the size of what's in this. So theoretically, I could put my camera in the woods with this box and not get any sunlight on it at all, and it will probably run my camera for almost an entire year. This also has some really neat features with it. It comes with different size cables to plug in the bottom here. You have different size jacks in different cameras. So no matter what camera you have, it's going to come with a cable to run it in the box. So if you have Moultrie cameras and SpyPoint and Tacticam, you can take this and you can switch it to another camera even though it's a different size power jack. This also has a USB out on it. So if you want to use this solar battery to, let's say, charge your cell phone in a pinch, or take it camping with you to run some solar lights, or some 12-volt lights in your tent, or a little fan in your tent, or recharge your battery or camera or whatever you want to use, you can do that with this solar battery. Heck, just take the thing, set it in the sunlight all day, and then plug your phone into it and charge your phone at night. It is a fantastic option for powering your trail cameras. It is also the most expensive option. It costs about $110. But if you think about it, if you're using AA batteries and spending about $25 to $30 every time you change out the batteries, and you're changing your batteries out every 2 months or so, this thing is going to pay for itself in less than a year. And this other solar panel will pay for itself in probably a few months. So these are some of the options that I wanted to show you that you can use with this camera. My personal options when I set my cameras up is I use external batteries on all my cameras, whether it be one of these HMEs or it's one of these Herd 360 solar panels. I use them on all my cameras. It just makes things easier, and it allows me to do some different options with my cameras that would normally run AA batteries out faster. So I get more out of my cameras. So now that we've discussed the powering options, we've taken this thing out of the box, we've talked about the features of this new camera, let's get this camera set up. Let's get it turned on, activated, and let's get it out in the woods. We have the camera out of the box. We've talked about some of the power options for this camera, and now we are ready to set this camera up and get it in the woods. What I am going to be using for this video, just because it's really simple and easy, I don't have wires hanging in the way, but when I power this camera up, I'm going to use one of the rechargeable battery packs. So I'm going to put that pack in there and clip it in place, and now we are ready to go. The very first thing you're going to need to do before you go any farther with this camera is you are going to need to go to the App Store on your phone and download the app from Moultrie. I have my app here, but I have already signed up and I've already got my account set up. It's easy to do, but when you get your app and you get signed up, what you're going to want to do first is in the upper left hand corner, there's the little icon for your account. Click on it and you go about 2/3 of the way down and you'll see credit card information. Click on that. I'm not going to click on it because it's going to bring up my credit card information, which I don't want you to have. But if you click on that, it's going to let you enter in the credit card that you want them to bill you through. Just like other camera companies, every month you're going to get billed by the camera per camera that you have. So that's where you set up your credit card information. Now, you can also see in here, this is one of the ways to get to where we're going to go next. You can see at the top there, activate device. So we are going to click on activate device, and it is going to have me scan the barcode that's on the inside of the door on here. Now, I will show you, I'm going to click scan label, and I'm going to show you on here how to do it, but it's not going to let me do it because I am, oh, wow, it let me do it. With some of my other cameras, it did not let me do it because I was recording the screen at the same time. So that worked out perfect. You can see how I just scanned that quick and it popped everything up. Now here's where you're going to choose a plan. I am going to just choose their standard plan right now for setting this up. I may change it in the future, but this is $9 a month for 1,000 images and 10 videos per month, which is a pretty good deal. If you're going to put this camera over a corn pile or over a feeder, you're going to want more than 1,000 pictures though, so the unlimited plan is probably the best thing for you. I'm going to select build monthly on the right hand side there. It is a little more expensive if you do your billing monthly, but I like to do it because I usually will turn my cameras off in the off season. So I'm going to scroll down there, I'm going to select standard, and I have standard monthly selected, and at the bottom I'm going to select choose standard monthly. I have everything here. It's going to give you your plan summary. I'm going to click next, and it has my credit card information, which I'm going to blur out on here, so it's in there. I'm ready to go. I click continue, and it gives you your information. It tells you how much it's billing you, and I'm going to pay $3.42 today, which is the prorated amount for the billing cycle. So you see here now, it gives you a receipt to show you what they billed you and which camera it's for. I'm going to click next. And now here it brings up your initial settings. I'm going to leave the initial settings all the same. You can change this stuff as you go along in the settings, like the camera's name. I will usually put a number in there because I number all my cameras and I write the number on the camera. It's easier to keep everything straight. And then I'll put, newsstand or trail or whatever I want to put on there as the camera name. Upload frequency, a little bit farther down. For setting up your camera, I'm going to recommend that you leave that on immediate. Now immediate means that as soon as the camera triggers, it will send you the picture. That will chew your battery life up quicker. However, you're gonna see when we set this camera up that you're going to want to be able to get pictures right away while we're getting it going, just to make sure the camera's working before you walk away from it in the woods. Capture mode, I always change those to photo and video because that's what I use is photo and video. We scroll down, detection delay. Again, for setting this camera up, I'm going to set that delay, I'm going to actually leave it on 15 seconds. 15 seconds is a good delay for what we are doing. Now, when I normally have the camera set up, if I'm going to put it on, let's say a feeder or over a corn pile or a bait site, I will usually put that about 5 minutes because you will start getting picture after picture after picture after picture of the same deer just standing there eating for 15-20 minutes at a time. However, for setting this camera up, we're going to leave the delay on 15 seconds. That way, when we're in the woods, setting the camera up and turning it on, we will start getting pictures to our phone and we will know for sure that the camera's working before we close the door and walk away from it. I'm going to click done at the bottom. And now, here is your on-demand feature. This is, the feature's not set up yet. I think there's a new firmware update for this that has that on it, but I'm not worried about the on-demand setting right now because I know it's coming soon, but it is one of the features that I like. I'm going to click next. And here is a quick start video on how to get your camera going. I'm going to skip the video because I've already watched it, so I don't need to watch it. And you're watching me, so you probably don't need to watch it. I'm going to click next. I have the battery tray already full, so it's telling you here what to do and to pull your tray out and install the batteries. So I'm going to click next, and I'm going to slide the power switch to on. Now, I do not know how long this camera is going to take to upload and get set up and start transmitting pictures, but I'm going to turn it on and we'll find out here. So I'm going to slide, very easy, power switch. I'm going to move it to on, so the power switch is on. Now I'm watching the lights in the front. All lights are lit. The connecting, the connected, and the not connected light. The power light is on, and now what happened is all the lights turned off, and that top light of connecting is flashing. So we're going to let that go. And as you can see on my screen here on the phone, I clicked next, and it says activation complete. Are you ready to deploy your camera? I'm just going to click done right now because we're not going to deploy it just yet. We're going to do a little bit more exploring once this checks in. So, all right, there's a little reminder. And now I am waiting for this camera to check in. Oh, look at that. It just switched to connected. That quick. So the camera is now connected, and I should be able to click on this. And so my camera popped up there on the screen. You can see it. It says pending first check-in, so it may not have checked in yet, but I am going to, I'm going to turn my camera around so I'm not taking pictures of all this stuff in here. I am going to click on, if you see the little gear icon, I'm going to go and we're going to take a look at some of the settings that are in this camera and talk a little bit about the settings and what may work for you and may not work for you. So I'm going to click that settings button, and we see at the top here, it shows the camera. On demand, we have that turned off because it is not available yet. Let's take a look at health check, the next one down. So health check, nothing comes up, probably because the camera is not registered in here yet, from what I see. Now I'm noticing here on the screen, I see the connected light has gone off. The battery power light was like scrolling up and down. And I'm just gonna sit here and wait for this camera to start sending pictures. The next one down, you can see settings. We're going to click on settings, and here's where you're going to go to adjust your settings to what is going to work better for you. So at the top, there's a name. This is my Edge 2 camera. Upload frequency, we again had that set to immediate. Power source, I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to put that on rechargeable pack. That's what we have in there right now, is a rechargeable pack. Photo or video, again, that's where you adjust that, but I have it set to photo and video. And we're going to go to video resolution. And click on that, and you can lower your resolution to save space in the internal memory. I like to keep my video resolution at full HD, 1080p, so I'm going to keep it there. Video length, you can choose 5, 10, 15 seconds. I like to keep mine set to the maximum amount, 15 seconds. And then let's go to motion detection settings. So for the PIR sensitivity first, it just says low, medium, and high. I like to keep that sensitivity set on medium because that is where it comes from the factory. If you start getting too many pictures, you may want to change that to low. If you don't get enough pictures, you may want to adjust it and change it to high. But I'm going to leave that set on medium. Our photo detection delay. Again, this is the delay that when something triggers your camera, it's going to give me, as I have mine set to 15 seconds, it's going to give me a 15-second delay before it will trigger again. And remember, I'm only keeping it on 15 seconds for this camera when we set it up. If you put your camera over a feeder or a bait site, you're going to want to up that to 2 minutes, 3 minutes. If you're going to put it to monitor, let's say a trail or your driveway or hunting camp, then maybe you can keep it down 15, 30 seconds. But you do not want to leave that delay at 15 seconds because you will get picture after picture after picture and you'll burn through your 1,000 pictures real fast. Video second delay, or video detection delay. This is set for 30 seconds. I'm going to leave it on 30 seconds. I did not know you could adjust the photo and video detection separately, which is a great feature of this camera. I like that. And then other settings, temperature, Fahrenheit, clear memory. We are not going to clear memory. Info strip is turned on, and daily test image. I like to turn that on, and I'll tell you why. That is because that is a quick way to know that your camera is still working and taking pictures. If you might have a slow time of year where you're not getting pictures, but you'll still get that daily test picture, so you know your camera is still functioning out there in the woods. It's a great way to kind of monitor your camera and know that it's still working. And then of course at the bottom, you want to make sure that you click Save Settings. We have that setting saved, and let's scroll down a little farther and just explore what's left in this menu. Plan info, here's where you find out what your plan info is. You can change it here and it'll tell you how many pictures and videos you've used. Let's go to details. This is your information on the camera. If you have any problems with this camera, this is the information they're going to ask you about when you call up and talk with tech support. And then we're going to go down to time lapse and schedule settings. I've never seen this before. So there's a time-lapse mode just in case you want to use this camera for, let's say, monitoring your camp or checking on some property when you're not there. It will just, take pictures at the interval that you specify for it to take pictures. And scheduler mode, this camera only captures pictures, video. Okay, so other cameras call this like work mode or something like that. Let's say you only want to get pictures of animals moving during the daytime. You can set that so that your camera will only trigger and take pictures and videos during that specific time. It may come in handy if you don't want to take pictures at night or don't care what's moving at night because you're only going to hunt during the day, but it's something that I don't use. I leave my cameras on 24/7 and just let them go. And let's go back now, and we are at the main menu. We're going to click back on device, and the camera is still pending its first check-in. Now I'm going to pull down and refresh it, and there we go. I pulled down and refreshed, and the date and time of the check-in have just come up. And let's go to gallery and see if any pictures came through. Yep, there we go. There's me talking to you, and we'll click on it, take a look at the picture, and you can see that there is a little video icon at the bottom. Well, let's talk about the bottom menu. So one, share. I can click on that and I can use it to text to any of my friends or send a picture to who I want. The other one is to download a video. So it will tell you that you are requesting a video and you have so many in your thing, and it will come up at the next check-in. Tags. This is something that I found is interesting. It can be tough to keep up with when you have multiple cameras, but tags is kind of nice because you can add a tag to the picture, human or buck or target buck or doe or predator, and then you can go and search your pictures later on to find what you're looking for with the tags. I have used that in the past. However, it does become tough to keep up with, especially if you start getting 4, 5, 6 pictures every night on the same camera of the same deer, and you've got multiple cameras out there. It starts to get a little daunting, but it is a nice feature that you can use if you choose to. And I am going to pull down. You can see when I swipe down, that brought up another picture. So my camera is operating and taking pictures, which is what I want. However, now that we have looked through all this app, we've talked about the settings, we're ready to put this camera into the woods. But what I am going to do on this camera for getting in the woods, I'm going to turn the camera off because I don't want this camera taking pictures while I'm moving it around, going outside, setting everything up. I just want to turn it off right now and have it ready to go when I get it outside. So now we have talked about the features of this camera. We have got the camera out of the box. We discussed the powering options for this camera, and now we got this camera set up with the app, turned on, and we know it's working, so we are ready to go and put this camera in the woods. So let's get out, let's set it up. I'll give you some tips and tricks on how I set my cameras up, and we'll get this thing working, and hopefully we'll get some good pictures with it. So let's get outside. Well, hopefully the wind out here in the forest won't be so bad and you can hear what I'm talking about with this camera. We are now out in the woods, call it my 10,000 acre ranch, and we're going to set this camera up and get it running. As I mentioned earlier, I don't like to use the straps that come with this camera. Anytime you put a strap, it's just too restrictive to me. I prefer to use these HME mounts. You can see I've got 4 of them here mounted on the tree because I've been doing some other testing with cameras. These mounts are about $10 a piece. I will put a link with these mounts, to these mounts with everything else in the comments and the description. So if you like them and you want to buy them, you can go and get them on your own. You saw the screw hole in the bottom of this camera. There's a screw hole right there, and we're just going to thread that in place and twist it onto the mount so it gets where it needs to be. And there is a thumb screw on the bottom, or a wing nut on the bottom, a wing nut on the side. We tighten both those up, and now the camera is mounted where I think I want it to be. Once you get it mounted approximately where you're going to locate this camera, we're going to open up our app, and I'm going to turn this camera on and give this a chance to start connecting and get set up. You can see in here I've got some pictures already from other cameras I was testing, but I want to get this camera up and running, and we are going to get this camera connected, make sure it is sending pictures to my phone, and make sure it's aimed correctly where I want it to be. That's the whole reason behind setting my transmit time to 15 seconds and or my delay to 15 seconds and my transmit to immediately. That way I don't have to sit out here and wait, or I don't have to wait till I get home to see what kind of pictures we're getting. We can also use the on-demand picture feature. We just click that connect button there. That will snap a picture and send it to you. One thing you can also do on this camera to make it go a little bit quicker, change your setting from photo and video to just photo. So the video takes a little bit longer. You know, it's going to snap a picture and then take a 15-second video. So it takes a little bit longer for it to transmit through everything. But for what we're doing here, I'm just going to leave it set like that. The camera has been going through its routine. The lights have been flashing what it's supposed to be doing. I'm going to go in the bottom right on my devices, and I'm going to look at my Edge 2. It's the top camera. Now, it said the last check-in was at 4 p.m. or 3:59. It is now 4 p.m. So the camera has checked in, which means it's up, running, operating, and it's connected to whatever cell network it needs to be connected to. And I'm going to go back here to the gallery, and now we should start getting pictures here anytime soon. So we're just going to stand by and wait. Now I'm moving enough in front of here that it should send pictures. In fact, I see it's flashing connecting right now, which means it's probably transmitting a picture to us that it's taken while we're doing this. But I am going to just kind of hang out and wait for this picture to come through, and we'll see what happens once I get it. And there we go. It just came through. It's the top left picture. I'm going to select it, and it says it was 3:59 when it took that picture, and you can see that's at the bottom it says Edge 2. If you change the name in your camera, it'll give you that camera name down at the bottom. And now we know I can look at that picture and I can say, okay, my camera's aimed where I want it to be aimed. And a few tips on aiming your camera. First and foremost, mount the camera about 2 to 3 feet off the ground. Position it shooting straight horizontally out. If you have that camera up in a tree looking down, I know people do that because they don't want someone to steal their camera, you are greatly reducing your triggering area for that camera, and it's going to affect the pictures you get and the triggering of it. I've also seen people where they mount their camera and it's inadvertently kind of pointing up in the air. Same thing, you're going to reduce your trigger area. You want it to be perfectly horizontal as you can get it. If you're using this camera to monitor a trail, shoot the camera, aim the camera down the trail rather than across the trail. If you shoot it down the trail, the deer's coming towards you or walking away from you. If you shoot it across, the deer's walking across. You get much better pictures when you aim that camera straight down the trail. And another thing to remember about these cameras is brush in front of your cameras. If you have this waving in front of your camera all the time, it's going to give you a lot of false triggers. So make sure you go out in front of your camera and clear out a lot of the brush or branches that may be hanging down. It's going to give you much better results on your camera. And now I am happy. We're flashing connecting again, so I'm pretty sure it's sending another picture right now, which will probably come through in a minute. I am happy that I am getting the pictures to my camera and this camera is operating correctly. So now all I have to do is just close this door, latch it shut, and the camera is ready to go. And what I do next is I go into my settings again. You're going to go into devices and then settings, and I'm going to go down here and I'm going to adjust my settings to where I want them to be when my camera is working in normal mode. So I'll change the delay on the camera, I will change the transmission frequency, whatever I want to change, I will change it now, and the next time the camera checks in, it will register those changes and your camera will be running the way you want it to be running. So we have our camera up and going. It is mounted to the tree. We've got it activated. We've got it sending pictures. We're good to go. And that's it. We are ready now to get pictures this fall. So thank you very much for coming along. Again, remember to check out those Amazon links in the comments and the description. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you on the next video. And until then, I wish you nothing but tight lines and short blood trails.